As my dear friend, Congresswoman Dina Titus once said in a Homeland Security Committee markup, you can't shovel shit and call it sugar. The American people are constituents, and they won't make mistakes what is being shoveled in this room tonight because it stinks to high heaven. I normally use this time to thank you for the opportunity to discuss this bill, but this dead of night hearing is one of the most shameful games I've ever seen played on the American public in my nearly 60 years of public service. The Homeland Security title of this scam of a bill was developed without any of the standard oversight and discussion with the Department of Homeland Security that would normally go along with funding numbers so big. The bill recklessly throws an enormous amount of taxpayer money at the border to buy the votes of Republicans who are reluctant to support the massive billionaire tax giveaways and devastating health care cuts that really motivate this piece of legislation. In other words, the Homeland Security title of the bill is like putting lipstick on a pig. But in many ways, the reality of these 9 pages of legislative text is even worse than that, because it steals money from the American taxpayer and gives it to the Trump administration to decimate DHS and attack the Constitution. President Trump and Secretary Noem are unconstitutionally dismantling DHS and making us less safe in the process. They are firing hundreds of civil servants, freezing grants, eliminating the watchdogs who protect Americans, and failing to respond to natural disasters across the country. Several of you have natural disasters ongoing in your district, and you have weekly requests for approval of other natural disasters. Under Trump and Noem, DHS is detaining and deporting American children with cancer, punishing students for engaging in protected First Amendment activity, and denying the due process to individuals, including those in the country legally. When the Trump administration spends its resources harassing, rounding up, and deporting American citizens, legal permanent residents, and international students in the name of border security, it is ignoring real threats from terrorism, domestic violent extremism, and gun violence. Just last weekend, a fertility clinic in Palm Springs, California, was bombed in a domestic terrorist attack. Domestic violent extremism represents one of the biggest threats to the homeland, and this bill doesn't spend a dime on it. It does, however, spend $46.5 billion on Trump's failed border wall, which, I may remind this committee, Trump originally said Mexico would pay for it. That amount for the failed border wall is 10 times what the bill spends on Customs and Border Protection personnel, and it nearly doubles what the Armed Services title of the bill dedicates to the technology complex, so-called Golden Dome Domestic Missile Defense Program. If the Trump administration's cruel policies alone have been as successful as Secretary Noem and Chairman Green like to claim, why are billions and billions of additional funds necessary at all? We got some insight into that question last week when Secretary Noem took a break from her costume changes and photo ops to ask the Appropriation Committee for a new $50 million private jet. See, Rolexes are not enough for our made-for-TV Secretary of Homeland Security. She needs a new Gulfstream 5, too. Never mind that the Coast Guard has much older equipment in service they use daily for life-saving missions. Those aircraft should be replaced first. This reconciliation package allows the Homeland Security Department to create a slush fund that enables the worst excesses of this administration, like private jets for the Secretary and securing the president's multi-million-dollar golfing vacation at his branded properties. This bill may be big, but it's far from beautiful. In fact, it's beyond irresponsible. Earlier, I described Homeland Security portion of this bill as putting lipstick on a pig. I come from an agricultural district as well as a part of the country. So let me use another farming analogy to wrap up. We may be here in the dead of night, but you do not need the light of day to smell manure. The American people are not going to be fooled by any middle of the night manure slinging here. As my dear friend Congresswoman Dina Titus once said in a Homeland Security Committee markup, you can't shovel shit and call it sugar. The American people are constituents, and they won't make mistakes what is being shoveled in this room tonight because it stinks to high heaven.